Have you heard the utterly bonkers speculations about Keir Starmer? Honestly, they're a bit too foofy, even for a bloke who's been all over the place with his other antics.
Is Keir Starmer gay? Must be. Keir Starmer? Come on. I bet on it, will you? He seems gay, he looks gay, he dresses gay. His sort of outlook is gay. Staying in Lord Alley's apartment, it's a bit gay. Being there for a month and a half, quite gay. Probably gay. Must be gay. I mean, that's the rumour, I guess, Westminster rumour has been for the longest time. But I don't know the answer. But wouldn't you love it? Let's decide, shall we?
That's not all, folks. The rumour mill is spinning with all sorts of speculation, including this rather odd moniker, Keir Starmer. You can't make this stuff up. The depth of these whispers hasn't been nailed down yet, but there are plenty of points floating around that seem to give them some weight. This is a colossal blow to the bloke's image and reputation, especially considering he's already treading water after the shambles we saw in the early days of his government. Talk about a right pickle.
The phrase Keir Starmer is trending on Twitter today in reference to the fact that many people are suggesting that the Prime Minister is in fact homosexual. This is of course prompted by the fact that the man who has done so many favours for him, Lord Alley, is himself openly gay. I have no idea at all if Keir Starmer is actually gay, but it is pretty clear by now that there is some kind of secret at the heart of all the business about lending flats and having clothes bought for Starmer and his wife. There is apparently a secret, the details of which are circulating in Westminster, which newspapers are reluctant to print. What this might be is anybody's guess.
As unbelievable as this news has been for everyone, there are several questions that linger in everyone's mind after hearing this. Why are people deducing Keir Starmer to be gay? What has he done that has resulted in these observations? And does it even matter if he is gay?
Some say that Starmer's marriage is a sham and he's playing away from home. Others that he only married his wife because at the age of 40 he thought that if he wanted to get on in politics then it was better to present himself as a family man. Some people say that he's bisexual, that this is at the root of the difficulty. One thing is absolutely obvious to all of us, which is that newspapers and television news channels are not remarking upon the bizarre nature of the claims which are being made by Keir Starmer. They are tiptoeing around the edges rather than asking the questions which we would ask of any of our friends and acquaintances if this was something to do with them.
A fact that consolidates these rumours is the oddly late betrothal of Keir Starmer. Doesn't this invoke suspicions that the renowned Labour MP got married at the age of 44? Had Starmer lost his concentration on building a family until he realised that he had to present himself as a common family man to resonate with the public's emotions?
So I think there is something bigger going on here, and it's annoying because I don't know what it is. And I know that the lobby of political journalists at Westminster feel the same. All of us instinctively feel that there is some big fact here that we're not being made.
I mean, I'm going to ask the question because nobody else will. Is it some kind of sex thing, do you think?
So there have long been rumours about Keir Starmer's private life, and they certainly aren't to do with any kind of doubts over his sexuality, if I can put it delicately. Okay. They are to do with his past and what the shape of his family really looks like. And it wouldn't be fair to go any further than that.
Now, Starmer is not being targeted on the basis of some frail foundation. He has been a staunch supporter of LGBTQ+ rights, and often voices his concerns on such issues in his speeches. An example of his support for gay rights is a story from his past, which narrates how he protected a gay friend of his from bullies. Even though it is quite convincing to declare Starmer gay, this is actually not the kind of issue we should be worried about right now. Our main problems lie with Starmer's behaviour in tackling the country's issues, not his gender orientation.
But this is an open secret at Westminster that those question marks have been around for a long time, and papers have been extraordinarily restrained in not publishing any of that speculation. And even whether they've got, maybe there are publications that have more information than I'm aware of, they've been restrained. Why? Because there's been a strong feeling that it's not in the public interest. And the bar for that these days for the press is really quite high. It's a whole different world to where we were in the John Major years. All those sleaze scandals were really just to do with cabinet ministers having affairs, having mistresses. Right. That doesn't wash anymore in modern day Britain. People actually don't care. If one of our cabinet ministers has got a relationship with someone else.
Really? Is this honestly the solution? Forbidding everyone from chatting about these issues? Newsflash, that's not going to fly. Sooner or later, the public's curiosity about Starmer's personal life will reach a fever pitch. The Brits have reached their threshold of patience, and they are ready to pummel Starmer for any reason they can get their hand on and oust him from Downing Street. So Starmer has to stop giving the public endless reasons to pry into his life and sniff out his flaws. How do we get there? Simple. He just needs to start delivering on those shiny promises he made during the election. His government is suspended with a tiny string of hope, which can only remain intact if he plays his next move in the people's interest. If he can actually serve the people and get them feeling satisfied with his performance, who cares about his gender preferences? If folks are happy with the government, they won't give a toss about his personal life.
I'm happy to put it out there that it is an open secret at Westminster that there is something about Keir Starmer's past that is not in the public domain, and it may or may not have a bearing on all this Lord Ali stuff. It may be totally tangential, irrelevant, may not even be true. But if I were him and there is a secret, I would just get it out there now, because this is getting dangerous territory for him. And I don't think that voters will care about his private life as long as he's not conflicted, as long as he's not being hypocritical, as long as he's not abused his position anyway.
Well, a bit late for all that, isn't it? I mean, he's done all of those things.
Get the story out. That would be my advice to Downing Street. If there is more to say, whatever it may be, then just get ahead of it, and the rest of us can then pack up and move on to another target.
Seems like reparations are a little far-fetched for Starmer. The bloke literally shot himself in the foot with his own supporters when he waltzed into the PM chambers. He's been backtracking on promises he made left and right during his election campaigns. Honestly, it's not a pretty sight for Starmer. His daft policies and authoritarian ruling have sent his own party members scurrying for cover since he took the reins, let alone the average Joe on the street. Don't believe me? Well, just take a look at Rosie Duffield's resignation statement. That's all the proof you need to see how deep this mess runs. It's a right shambles, and it's no wonder people are losing faith in him.
I wake up every day and I think, can it possibly, for a new government, get any worse? Yeah. I mean, this guy spent months and years talking about the Tories were scum and their noses were in the trough, and we're going to do government differently. We're going to do it for everybody.
Honesty.
Really, honesty and integrity.
Yeah.
Two great moments this week, apart from, by the way, another 16 grand's worth of clothes that you forgot about. Lady Victoria Sponge, we love that.
That's a good one.
She's had 5 grand. This week, Rosie Duffield, who I actually think should be absolutely celebrated. I will be slaughtered by the transgender community. This is a woman who stood up and said, I defend women's rights to have their own spaces to change. That's their right, right?
Right, because they haven't got a penis.
Because they haven't got a penis. Rosie Duffield resigned. So you fight an election under a Labour banner, and 12 weeks later, you come out and you say, I am so appalled by the leadership. The leadership that is greedy, doesn't care about the working man and woman. Arrogant, just terrible. I am walking out.
You know what this means. Starmer has pissed off his party MPs for maintaining a distance between himself and the ladies, which can only mean 2 things. Either Lady Victoria Starmer is very insecure and possessive of her husband, or Starmer just likes to have men around his close circles. Nevertheless, this news has been watered down for a while now, considering Starmer has given the public loads of other headaches to worry about. However, the risk of getting bulldozed by the enraged public lies wholly on menial issues like these once Starmer crosses the frustration limit of every single Brit in the country.